Okay, and welcome back to part 2 of the tutorial. This time we're going to be adding behaviours to groups. So let's start off by adding a group, and I'm going to call this group ride 1, and I'm going to add a group to that group. It's getting like the Matrix already, isn't it? And that group I'm going to call base. I'll just rename that there, and I'm going to add yet another group to that, and this group I'm going to call wheel, and I'm going to make it capital L so I can see it wheel left. So that gives us the group inside a group inside a group. What I'm going to do now is just make sure that these are all centralized by hitting reset, because they will spawn right in front of where you actually create them. And then I'm going to go into wheel L group, the third of the group, and I'm going to add some geometries to this. Why I've got 3 groups, one group in a group, you'll find out very shortly. I'm going to add an object. It's going to be a simple object, and it's going to be a torus, and I'm going to centralize that, and I'm going to change some of the geometries. So let's put that to 1/100th on the precision settings. Set the tube width, the width of the tube, the torus, to 0.05. I'm going to change the radius as well, so I'll put that precision to 1 and change the radius to 6. No, that's massive. What was I thinking? 3. I'm going to add a color to this. And just any old color. And I'm going to go to base. And I'm just going to move the whole thing up a little. I'm just going to move it up to, so we can see what we're doing. Let's just move that to 3.5. That'll do. Now I'm going to add another geometry. I'm going to add simple. I'm going to add a cylinder. Add to scene. Let's put that in the center there. Let's do the same thing with the geometries. I'm going to set the geometry to what am I doing? 0.1 on position, because I'm going to go to change the radius top to 0.5 and the radius bottom to 0.05. That's nice. And change the position to 1 and put the height of the geometry to be 6. Perfect. I'm not going to change the color of that. I'm just going to copy it. Now copying it will make an exact replica. If I put that in wheel left and paste it, there's now 2 cylinders there exactly the same. So the second one I'm going to rotate, and if I put the precision to 10, and I think it's the z-axis, change that to 90. There we go, we've got spokes in our wheel. Now if I go to the wheel group and copy that group and go to base and paste that object, I've now got 2 wheels. I'm going to call that wheel R, wheel for R for right, and I'm going to move it on the z-axis, a bit happy clicking there, 2 meters. Great. Back to base. I'm going to add another group, and this is going to be for the car that sits on the big wheel. So let's call it car 1. Save that. put it in the center, and to that I'm going to add a geometry. I'm going to add a simple geometry. I'm just going to add another cylinder, add to scene, put it in the center. This time let's change the geometry so the radius is 0.9, so it fits inside the wheel, which is 2 meters, and the height, let's make it that high, and I'm going to add a color to it. I've added a color. Right. It looks a bit nasty without lighting, so let's put lighting on it too. And I'm going to add a behavior to this because I want to add an AltspaceVR collider behavior mesh. I should have done that in the first place, but I want to make sure it's environment. And now that's got a collider on it too. I'm going to add to that another geometry, a simple torus, which I'm going to add to the scene. Again, center it, move the rotation of it to 90 degrees. Just play with the geometry. Right, the geometry, the tube width, I'm going to make 0.5, everything 0.05 I mean. The radius, 0.9, it's still a little bit wide, yeah, that's okay, that'll fit in. And let's just move that into the air above the platform by a meter. Stick a colour on it, why not? And also I forgot to add, so I add now AltspaceVR behavior collider, mesh collider, toggle environment, so we can react to it and stand on it and it can move us around. And there we go. Now let's move that car one. I'm going to move it down. I'm going to move the group down 3 meters. I'm going to move it from the Z-axis away into the center. That's great. I'm just going to copy that back into base, paste object, and rename that object car 2. And I'm going to change the position because it's in the same position to 3, and there's our objects. Now we've got our Ferris wheel built, but now let's add some behaviors to animate it. And the first thing we're going to do is spin the base around. Everything that's in that group I want to spin round. So what I'm going to do is add a behavior. I'm going to go to the behavior market, simple spin, import this. It's on the wrong axis, of course, so we're going to edit that behavior. I'm going to call it what we're going to call this, ride spin. I should have called it wheel spin. And I'm going to go down to the update method and change it to the proper axis, which is Z. I'll leave that speed. Is that too much? That's too slow, isn't it? 0.01 is probably too quick. Let's just try it. And go to settings, save. Now because we've had a behavior to a behavior, it compounds it and it's going to look really weird. What we have to do is save our scene. So I'm going to save that. I'm calling it tutorial, and click reload for all so everybody else can see it, and there's the Ferris wheel spinning around correctly. But the cars obviously look a bit wonky like that, you'd fall out of them. So let's add a behavior to them individually. Go into ride 1, go into base, go into car 1 group and add a behavior to that. And what I'm going to do is my behaviors, ride spin, I'm going to just add that because it's the same kind of spin that was added to the group before it. But I'm going to edit it and I'm going to take the, I'm going to call that car spin. For some reason that's highlighting all. That's a bit annoying. It's a little bit wonky, is the virtual keyboard. Car spin, I just wanted to type it back but it was selected all. Okay, car spin. The update method is the same except I'm going to reverse it, so I'm going to just add a minus so it's going in the opposite direction at the same speed. Settings, save, and that's going to work fine. It looks a bit wonky now, but I'm going to add that same behavior to car 2. So if I go into car 2, I realise I could have added the behavior first and then copied it, but there you go. I should have reversed this first. I'm going to add a behavior, my behaviors, car spin. So they're both going around a bit funky at the moment. So if I just save the scene, tutorial, override scene, and reload all. Have you got it right? We have. That's great. I'm just going to do one more thing to make this a little more presentable. I'm going to go into the ride, and I'm just going to move the rotation. What am I doing? Why 90 degrees? Just so it looks better in the room there, and that's it. Now, not only is this a fully it's not a full Ferris wheel, you could add more carts in the same way as I added these. This is actually a fully working Ferris wheel. You can jump on it and it takes you round and round, and that's how I created my fairground rides, from very simple primitives and a few behaviors. I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. If it was too fast for you, you can ask me questions or ask me to expand on some of the things I've done here, and I'll leave you back to Shane in the live event there.